Rebekah, what do you make of Coinbase in particular as a microcosm of what's happening in crypto more broadly?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that, we have to remember that crypto it's in its preteen phase as a kind of financial system and digital asset class. So it's important to note that volatility is just a huge part of emerging technologies. So what's interesting to note with Coinbase in particular is their price to earnings are quite high. And as we know, as we've seen often with the stock market, you can have great earnings or great financials, then your stock still plummets. And so what I really see here is negative impacts of the very notorious stablecoin, failure, if you will, with Terra Luna recently in the last couple weeks. That's causing a lot of panic, if you will, from retail investors. And then looking at Coinbase as a kind of a definition of crypto in the markets is seeing some of those downturns.
So how long would you say this crypto winter is going to last? We talked to a guest last week who thinks that don't expect Bitcoin to start trading back up for 12 to 18 months.
I think it's possible, Emily. I mean, if I had an oracle and I could tell you definitively, I would let you know. But what happens frequently in crypto is that, the lows are getting higher and they're getting shorter. So it's kind of the same with the early stock market, right? We go in these different financial cycles and, they last a lot longer in the early stage and then they start to get a lot shorter. But I'll bet my career that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not going to zero. And what we're seeing right now is just the impact of some news that's been happening and even the global markets, right? I think that as we've discussed, many guests on your show have discussed kind of different, macro trends at work, these external events that are affecting everything. Crypto is not the only one that's being impacted. You've seen a lot of tech stocks fall 70% as well. I think depending upon how you judge it, that some of the tech stocks could be more volatile than crypto right now.
So how is this all impacting institutional appetite to expose, themselves to more crypto assets? I mean, we were seeing that build up to this point, but are institutional investors starting to get cold feet?
Well, you've seen Goldman just invested in Elwood Technologies, which does actually help them, service their clients and institutions that are looking to diversify into crypto. But what typically happens, Emily, is that you have retail investors who are maybe newer investors, and so they see downturns like this and they panic sell and get frustrated. And then this becomes a huge opportunity for institutions to get in at a more palatable price point. So, something that we've seen is some of the largest crypto wallets have been actually amassing a lot more of top tier crypto. So I would say that this is actually one of the times that different funds, folks that have been allocating, slowly kind of investing over time. This is a good point for them to kind of get back in at a price that is a little bit more reasonable.
Meantime, you have venture capitalists looking at funding the next big crypto thing. And I wonder, when you look at a company like Coinbase, is that a matter of, just the market, or is there also some measure of poor execution there?
With Coinbase specifically, I think that they've definitely done a lot of hires. So when it comes to kind of business execution, I think that it's easy for companies to get into this place of overhiring for lots of positions that they can't necessarily derive a lot of value from at the time. And we've seen that with crypto companies, we've seen that with tech companies, and oftentimes that can be definitely it takes the wind out of their sails, if you will. So sometimes it can be a little bit about poor business execution, but that happens all the time, unfortunately.